hello! We're nearing the end of March now, and I've been reflecting on the about 40 books that I've read over the course of the first 3 months of this year, which is quite a large number of books, but that number will kind of taper off as the year goes on. I tend to read the most in January compared to any other month of the year. And so I've been thinking about the books I've read, and they were enjoyable, but not many blew me away. So there were only a few, some of them rereads, and I've collected them quite easily for once into a list. And so here are my top 5 favorite reads so far this year. At number 5 is 6 Wakes by Mur Lafferty, which is a science fiction, adventure, and mystery. In this, Maria, who's one of our main characters, she wakes up in a clothing vat that is drenched with drying blood of herself and her crewmates. Her and her 5 crewmates, they wake up in cloning vats with no idea as to what happened. They're a lone spaceship very far from home and civilization, and they decide to continue on with their mission, but they do need to figure out why they were all brutally murdered before the murderer strikes again. And I love it, and it's not just because of the allure of the sci-fi space setting, it's also got great plotting and characters. It's a really smart, fast whodunit. One of the best murder mysteries I've read, regardless of the awesome setting. So really now I want all of the space murder mysteries. At number 4 is The Snow Queen by Joan Vinge, or Joan Vinge, not sure how to pronounce her last name. Anyone who's read The Snow Queen has probably said that it is very similar to Dune by Frank Herbert, and it is. Personally, I think The Snow Queen is better. This book is a political space opera, and it is set mostly on the planet of Tiamat, which has this substance called the Water of Life, and it completely retards the aging process, so it's very similar to the spice melange in Dune. And the titular Snow Queen is one of the most interesting characters, and definitely the most interesting villain I've ever read. Really complex, interesting, smart, strong, interestingly flawed. And not only is she's one of the greatest villains I have ever read, and she's not even the most interesting character in this book. This book is so strong on all of the main characters. I really enjoyed that part of this. And the Snow Queen is trying to keep control of her planet. And this involves a lot of things, like prophets who seem mystical but are actually science-based. There are interstellar politics. There are conspiracies from the end of a previous galactic empire. It's really epic, strong on characters, smart, well written. I really enjoyed it, and I'm very much looking forward to the rest of this series. Moving along to number 3 is The Lies of Lockemora by Scott Lynch, which is one of my top 3 favorite fantasy novels of all time, only surpassed really by Harry Potter and the traitor Baru Cormorant. Now this book is the first in the Gentleman Bastard series, and I'm rereading the whole horse series in anticipation of the next volume coming out hopefully later this year, really hoping. And this book is about the most clever, most audacious, confidence tricksters who are working in a decadent fantasy pseudo-Venetian city-state. And while they are working on another confidence game, they're conning some more nobles, they get caught up in a coup in the criminal underground. Now, the Gentleman Bastards are used to using other people as pawns in their games, but they become the pawns in a very bloody, very brutal power game of someone else's making. And I don't think that this book could get more thrilling or clever. And the characters, this Gentleman Bastard, that crew of characters, they're just so cheeky and so clever. They're pretty irresistible. So it's really, really fun, and I've enjoyed the series so far. Now at number 2 is the other reread of mine on this list, which is Watership Down by Richard Adams. And every time I reread this, I forget going in how amazing it is. This time was no exception. So incredible. Now first, we gotta get this rabbit thing out of the way. It's not a cute book about bunnies. It's not really a children's book. Rabbits in the wild live very violent lives. It's about survival. They are prey animals. It's pretty brutal. And so I think this is a adult novel for that reason, and also it's quite erudite. So I really think the audience of this is for adults, not children. Now, the story on the surface level is about survival, which is really epic, and it's about a group of outcast rabbits who need to make a new life. But more than that, the inner workings of the rabbit world and the rabbit culture, their mythology, the gorgeous, gorgeous mythology that is just not human-like, but just an alien, believable culture. There's politics, there's war-making, there's a big showdown at the end that is heart-thumping exciting. Really, there are some of the best scenes in all of literature in Watership Down. It's really that good. And the rabbit world is just drawn so richly in Watership Down, and every time I reread it, it envelops me heart and mind, and I love it so much. And at number 1 is the Terra Ignota series by Ada Palmer, which starts with Two Like the Lightning, and the sequel is Seven Surrenders. These books are so much smarter than I am. I'm not sure how I can possibly describe them, but it is a hard-won utopian world of the 25th century whose underpinnings are deeply affected by the philosophy of the 18th century. Now, everything about this book is brilliant. Everything. What makes it really special is the utopian world building and also the deep conversations concerning philosophy that are so spectacular, so part of the DNA of this story, that it makes it number 1 of this list and by far and away the best thing I've read so far this year. In this particular world, we have citizenship that is not geographically based. Instead, you pick a philosophically like-minded hive to join. And there are 7 hives in the world. They don't work the way they seem to. Politics has a dark side, but even utopian politics has a darker side than the already known dark side. And this series just has completely seized me, mind and soul, and I basically live in this book series now. And so those are the absolute best of the books I've read so far this year. Till next time, my lovelies.